Hi everybody. I've been watching a lot of vlogs on YouTube lately, and I find them very interesting. It's interesting to follow people through their daily activity, through their travels and adventures, and it's interesting for them to point the camera at themselves. For a long time I thought that the selfie craze was kind of just me, self, but when you see a person doing something and reacting to their environment and communicating, the facial expressions, it's really quite unique. You get to know a person and you get to feel like you know these people. It does remind me of what I've been doing with my personal videos now, and I've been doing it for quite a long time. I got into personal video back in the 1970s, and that was really the first decade where it was possible for an ordinary person like myself to have your own video equipment and to record videos and to ultimately edit videos. So in the mid-70s, I was learning about this by watching a program on PBS called VTR, Video Television Review, and they were just talking about this equipment, showing examples of videos that people made, mostly black and white stuff, and I was amazed by it. So I looked into it and I found out I could afford, it was pretty expensive, but I could afford my own video camera and video recorder. And this you're looking at right now is a video of my first camera. It's a JVC black and white video camera, not a recorder, just a camera. You know, it did have a built-in microphone, which was very poor quality, and it was a pretty poor quality camera, and it attaches by cable to this recorder here. I found this picture on the internet, but this is the recorder I had with that camera. And those reels, reel-to-reel tapes, recorded black and white video. This is a half-inch videotape on a reel, not in a cassette. And that's what I had to use at first with my video. And just five-inch reels on this machine, 5-inch black and white, half hour, just a half hour of video. So that's what I did at first. I only had that system for about a year. But it was great having my own camera and experimenting and playing with it. I didn't wind up using it outside too much. I usually used it in my apartment. And as you'll see here in this very first video that I made with my camera, you'll see what I did. I did something that often vloggers do. They record themselves having a meal. So here I am having breakfast. That's the first video I made with this camera.
Coffee and a monkey. They have sausages. I hope this microphone is working. I really can't tell. Testing 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. You're about to see me eat. What time is it? What time is it? It's almost 9 o'clock Saturday morning. Probably getting pretty bored of watching me eat.
It was great to make videos. It was fun, and playing the back and sharing. Of course, we didn't have the internet or anything. I would just share them with family and friends. And but editing, you can't with one video recorder. You couldn't edit it at all. The only way in those days to edit video was to have two machines and copy segments from one to the other. So I had to get an editing VTR. That was one of my next big purchases. And this is a picture of it. This is the machine that I had I actually had this up until maybe a year ago. It didn't work anymore, but I have a lot of old equipment, as I'll be showing you, that I should have gotten rid of years ago. But anyway, this is the editing deck that I got about a year after I got my first camera. And one of the first things I did was make this little demo video of how it works and how you edit videotapes. So now we're going to look at this video I made back then in black and white. I still had just a black and white camera, so it was shot in black and white, but edited on the Panasonic editing VTR. Here's the video demonstrating how it works.
Who is Capstan Servo, you might ask? Well, Capstan Servo is not a person. Capstan Servo Video Editing is an electronic process used to edit videotapes. To illustrate how editing is done, we will show you how the equipment is set up. First, you need a VTR to play back previously recorded tapes, called VTR-A. A TV screen is required to monitor VTR-A. Then you need an editing VTR, called VTR-B, to record the edited program from VTR-A. A monitor is required for VTR-B. Then the two VTRs are connected by cable and editing can begin as segments are played back on VTR-A and recorded on VTR-B in proper sequence. Capstan servo editing gives you powers far beyond those of mortal men. For instance, teleportation. You can also make yourself completely vanish. And there I am. I'm there. Where am I? I'm gone. Let's see if I can get back into the picture here. And here I am back in the picture. I kind of messed that one up a little bit. Not always to get your coordinates right there. Another thing that can be done with capstan servo editing is that you can cause objects to materialize from nowhere, to stretch out your hands. And immediately something appear in your hand. I gotta get rid of this thing. You be gone. And it's gone immediately, so you can't. I didn't know what that thing was, but it was about to swallow me whole.
And so I still just had a black and white camera, but I could edit them and had some fun with some creative projects. And in addition to just showing myself doing things around the house, I tried to be creative and make my own little movies. And I've always liked science fiction, so one of the first things that I did was kind of a takeoff on War of the Worlds.
This is Dan Brothers with the MMTV Mobile News Unit just outside the city. Scientists from all over New England have gathered here tonight to observe the touchdown of a huge rock from outer space. Wait a minute, I think I see it. There's a light streaking across the sky. We'll try to get a camera on it. Astronomers report they have sighted hundreds of meteors similar in size to the one that landed minutes ago. They say these new meteors will start impacting in the Boston area within 5 minutes. All civilians are advised to take cover immediately. Please stay in your home. We now switch back to Dan Brothers at the site of the first meteor impact. It's so hot we really can't get too close to it. Wait a minute! There's something moving on it! Something's coming out of the thing. No. 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 Here's another bulletin. Meteorites are landing all over the country now. We are getting some reports that strange creatures are emerging from the meteorites and terrorizing people. No. No. I gotta get out of here.
As you all know, the Earth was tonight conquered by Mars. When last seen, the population of Earth was headed for the hills and swimming out to sea, screaming in terror.
So it was fun to make these videos, but boy, I wanted color, you know. I wanted a color camera. And I guess at that time, color portapacks were either too expensive or hard to get, I don't know. But the only color camera I could get that I could afford was this thing, which is actually a kind of a studio camera made by a company called GBC. And so I had this studio camera, but I couldn't really take it anywhere. And to record in color, I had to use this I had a big reel-to-reel recorder, which was, again, not portable. They all needed power. And so this is, I'm going to show you right now the first test. Once I had that color camera, I made some tests in my apartment.
Okay,
Now you're looking outside of my window at night. And what you can see in full color is the famous, world famous Citgo sign. This is zoomed in all the way, focused to infinity. Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? A beautiful sky, clouds. Yeah. That's a good view of Boston. 1, 2, 3. Hello there. Hi. Dave Heron here. In living color. Big view from my home. Using my new GBC CTC 5X color video camera.
That's the way I looked back in those days. My appearance may have changed a little bit, but I still have the mustache. It's a different color now, though. Anyway, one of the first things I did with the color camera, I got together with some friends and we made a spoof of The Tonight Show. And I had one friend who did very good impressions of the different celebrities. I don't think he'd want me to show that on here, so I'll just show you a little bit of it. I attempted to do an impression of Johnny Carson.
Here's Johnny. Gee, boy, it sure was cold out today.
How cold was it?
How cold was it? Well, it was really cold today, and I'm not kidding. I was going by the Prudential Center today, and you know there's a nude statue out in front of the Prudential Center. Well, I was going by there today, and it was so cold, that the statue actually got up and went into Brigham's for a hot cup of chocolate. Are they coming to get me, Ed? Is this an audience or a firing squad?
Okay, I wasn't happy that I could only do things in my apartment. I wanted to get outside and record, what way vloggers do. They travel, they go places, they go to exotic places. So what I did was I figured out a way to actually use this in my car, this huge studio camera and reel-to-reel big table model machine, operating it from a car battery. I got this device that converted AC into DC or DC to AC, however it works. I was able to plug these things in, the recorder, and the camera had its own big power supply. Plugged that in, and I took it on the road around New England and got some scenes that you're about to see. Scenes of Charles. I lived right on the Charles River in Boston, so that was pretty easy to get to. I even went to the roof of my apartment building and shot some scenes of the Charles River. And then I traveled up to New Hampshire and Maine and got some little videos with that. Now, while I had the color camera and I could edit it nicely, I like to make my own little movies. And science fiction. So the big project I did in the 70s was this science fiction little movie I called Voyage of the Lonestar, starring me, of course, and I was the cameraman and star, and I created the special effects. I made a fairly elaborate model of a spaceship out of cardboard, and I put a black and white TV inside of it so you could look in the window and you could see me in there. And I made this control panel with lights behind it so they looked like they were illuminated dials and things on it and the screen. I didn't have a computer at that time, but I had this video game that you had a kind of a drawing program that you can actually draw little things on the screen. So that's what I used to create the graphics that appear in this sci-fi epic were created with I think it was called Channel F, whatever it was, a video game console on the screen. And I won't show you the whole thing. It's probably pretty long and boring, but this is kind of the highlight.
Let's see what we've got for breakfast. Same old reconstituted, synthesized, recycled. I don't believe it.
What can it be? Must be a meteor. Can't outrun it. Only one thing to do. Got to turn this ship around and point her nose right at that thing. Don't know if this is going to work, but it's my only chance. I really didn't think I had enough laser power to deflect it. Don't know why that thing came at me like that, almost as if it were under intelligent control. Nah, must have been some weird sort of magnetic gravitational attraction. I'm sure the science boys will figure it out when they analyze my computer tapes. Really spooky. And I was complaining about how boring the strip was.
Oh yes, I have some historical things that I was able to record on my big color camera. In 1979, the Pope John Paul II, the Polish Pope, visited Boston. And I found out somehow that his motorcade was going to go passing through my area. And I knew someone who had an apartment overlooking Massachusetts Avenue. It was Massachusetts Avenue where the motorcade went by. And this person who lived there had a window overlooking it, and I invited myself to go there with my camera, and I was able to actually record the Pope as he was going by. My camera work was not terribly good, and I almost missed him, but here's what I got.
Forest car, Here he is.
That's going to be the end of part one, the 1970s. And there will be a part two. I've actually already put it together. So probably I'll be putting it up soon if you want to see it. And in part two, the 1980s, we have a lot of things to look forward to. I finally got a portable color camera and was able to use that and went on some trips. First trip I went is to New York City to visit my old neighborhood where I grew up, and went by the World Trade Center. And I started video correspondence, sending tapes to various people around the country. I'll explain that. And I finally got a real computer, to do graphics for my videos. And went on some interesting trips with a friend. We went whale watching, so I got some pretty good video of some whales. And I got into recording weddings professionally. I got paid for 1 year to do weddings. Talk about that a little bit. And I went on one exotic trip to an exotic location. I went to Barbados, and I had a camcorder by then, and I took that along with me. So all those things that we can look forward to seeing in part two. If you have any comments, questions about this video, if you're curious about the equipment I used, any questions about it, please add your comments. And hope you enjoyed this little video.